Welcome to this month's Hypno Geeks. Today I have got I'm honoured because I've got Sarah Reddan on Hypno Geeks this week. And Sarah is one of the Northern College's new tutors. Welcome to Northern College and welcome to Hypno Geeks.
Thank you.
I just wanted to introduce you to Sarah as well, but to talk a little bit about one of her areas of speciality, which is self-care. Something we hear a lot about, but we're going to get into that in a bit. So Sarah is a multi-talented lady. She's got loads of experience of working as a therapist, working in loads of different modalities of integrative and holistic therapies. She runs loads of networking groups. She's a podcaster, and she's also had 13 years, which is a lot longer than me when it comes to like mind stuff, of working as a therapist. And within that she has used clinical hypnotherapy, but she's also a talking therapy, a counselling, person-centered counsellor as well. And her kind of like massive passion and what she's bringing to the college as well is just the most amazing knowledge about self-care. Because we all go on about self-care. We've got self-care. It's really important, isn't it? Really important. But I know for many people, self-care is like having a shower without having to hold the baby. I have a friend who was messaging me the other day saying, I'm in the shower and she's put the baby in the clothes basket. And she's got one foot on the clothes basket, like rocking it, and she's in the shower with the other one.
It's a good start.
Like, you know?
It's a good start.
That's not really what I would call self-care. But
no, but if that's where you are, that's where you start. It's a good start.
So what's really interesting at the moment about self-care is I think what I would think of as self-care, which is like eating healthy, getting fresh air, hanging out with some friends, you know, doing kind of normal daily activities, meeting up with people is like a huge thing for me. And during lockdown, I was on my own a lot. I did eat probably reasonably healthy towards later lockdown, but in early lockdown, I was just eating crap. But a lot of us have kind of had periods of time where we haven't really been looking after ourselves, or we've been adjusting to how, you know, what life is how life is challenging us. And we've got through those 2 years and things are kind of returning more to normal. Still a load of fear out there about getting poorly sick and being around each other. But we know that self-care we have to do more of it. We have to not just do what we thought of was good for us, like a bit of exercise, eating healthy, resting well and hanging out with people. I think we need to increase it and be really aware of it, because we've gone from pandemic to war, amongst Brexit, and goodness knows what else, food shortages, price hikes, fuel have gone up, shopping's gone up, and the cost of living's gone up massively. So people are saying, oh, well, the first thing that's got to stop is self-care. I can't afford to do that anymore. That has to end. And I know that people are making cutbacks, but the self-care doesn't have to cost you anything, but what it is, it's preventative. And when I mean preventative, it can prevent you from becoming depressed. It can prevent anxiety and stress. It can prevent all the diseases and illnesses that are connected with stress, anxiety and depression, like problems with your immune system, heart and lung problems, and a multitude of other health conditions that we know are caused through feeling stressed on a daily basis. It's also a great curative. So if you're not feeling good, if you are anxious, if you are stressed, if you are feeling a bit low, it can really pep you up and it can give you what you need to not just be surviving your days, to start thriving. And I'm just really excited about the idea of, well, how do we do it? Let's embrace the idea of self-love and self-care for ourselves. How do we do it when we're busy? How do we do it when we haven't got a lot of money? How do we do this self-care stuff? And actually stop just saying I need to do it and actually put it into action. And Sarah has a whole podcast and loads of Facebook pages where she talks about this all the time. And I'm so glad that you're bringing this to the college as well, because it's hugely vital for people to love themselves and care for themselves enough to recognize when they need to up their self-care, but just to implement it as part of their routines. I probably just waffled on too much, but Sarah, welcome. I mean, to Hypno Geeks. I'm excited to have you here.
Thank you so much. It's wonderful to be here. And I think that's, like you say, as practitioners, it's so important that we have foundational self-care, because I don't know about you, I have definitely burnt out. As helpers, we can often, we prioritize our clients and we prioritize the needs of all the things that we want to do. We want to help, we want to be out there, we want to be making the world a better place. But for me, true self-care, it comes from recognizing and honoring your own needs first. So as a helper, you really, really need to be in a place where you are filling up your own cup first before you go out and help, because otherwise we can't sustain it, we can't do it. So when we're learning, and I love to learn and I love adding new things on, but I recognize part of my self-destructive behaviors is to overcommit. So I'll be trying to learn lots of things all at the same time. I'm laughing because I'm much better at it now, but there was a time in my life where I was studying a part-time course, another part-time course, volunteering in 2 places, going here, going there, doing everything. And it was wonderful and I loved it. And everyone said to me, how do you do it? How do you do it? And it seemed really normal and it seemed really kind of okay and manageable. And then a few years down the line, I just completely burnt out because I lived in an adrenaline state. I lived in this kind of high, like, stressed out state, and we don't always recognize we're doing it. So if we're not checking in with ourselves, being really truthful with ourselves about, hey, why am I so busy? What am I avoiding here? What's going on that I don't want to be dealing with? What messaging's going on for me that I feel like I need to be doing all of these things and not actually taking some time to be still, to be quiet, to be calm, to be in nature, to eat well, to drink my water. There's always a reason that we aren't doing the things that we need to do to look after ourselves. We don't always recognize it in the moment. So building that kind of reflective practice and really checking in with ourselves about.
And it's really important. I have a really good friend and colleague who is a coach, and right the way through lockdown, she ran a big Facebook group that had thousands of people in it, and she was on Instagram giving advice. She was doing like dancing nights to elevate people's mood and raise the vibration, and she was absolutely supporting people through some really dark times. Had no supervision for herself. Went through 2 years worth of sitting and listening to people's horrific stories. And during the pandemic, as a result of the lockdowns, we've had a massive increase in domestic violence. There's been a massive increase in people reaching for substances, so there's been loads of relapses. There's been people turning to substances that perhaps hadn't, so there's been a lot of new people engaging in unhealthy behaviors that are not just bad for them, but they're bad for everyone in their lives. And she ended up with what we call vicarious PTSD. So she has all the signs and symptoms of PTSD. She's having all the flashbacks and nightmares, but she's seeing everyone else's nightmares as well. And it's been a huge eye-opener for me just to realize, we are people who come into this industry. We're warm, we're caring, we're sensitive. Quite often we've been through trauma or troubles ourselves, and we've experienced help from someone, and that's what's made us think, I want to do that for other people. But if we're not taking care of ourselves first, like you say, we've got to fill our cup first, we're going to end up poorly, and we're going to end up out of work.
Yeah.
And the NHS is predicting 230,000 new patients this year who are going to be suffering from PTSD as a result of the pandemic. So, take supervision as a therapist. Make sure you've got a buddy, a therapist buddy who you can share with confidently what you're going through, what you're experiencing, because we want to be really good therapists for our clients. But if we're not looking after ourselves first, how are we going to do that?
And it's the day-to-day life stuff as well. It's really being mindful about, like for me, really being mindful what social media I'm immersed in, nurturing my space, like really curating a space that's positive. Like you said about my groups that I run, they are, you can come and talk about what's really going on, but we try and keep things quite positive. The spaces that I go into are positive spaces. I don't watch the news. I don't actually watch normal TV. I don't read a newspaper. I don't listen to the radio, because I'm aware that for me, I become extremely overwhelmed by world events, the helplessness that I can feel about the things that I can't do anything about. So I've made a conscious choice. Yes, I want to be aware of world events and what's going on, but I pick how much of that I allow into my space and into my world, and I will stop following somewhere or come out of a space if too much is going on for me, because I need to look after me. And if I'm there rocking in a corner because I'm feeling overwhelmed about all of the stuff that's coming into my mind and into my heart and into my soul, then I can't actually help the people that I help. I can't work with the people that I work with. So I think it's really, really important to not only as in your practitioner head to think about your supervision and the way in which you're working, but really noticing how you feel when you're in certain spaces and with certain people, and what actually helps you kind of use raise your vibration. I used that earlier today as well, but like just lift your mood and lift your space, or keep you in a nice neutral place. And because we can't always be like woohoo, everything's great, sometimes it just is. But if something continually you walk away from it feeling exhausted, feeling like for me, I get pain in my body. If I'm in stuff that's not okay for me, I'll get pain in my body. I get really tense in my muscles. My breathing will change because I'll notice that I'm feeling anxious. I start to ruminate about things, and I start to feel that kind of helplessness about the world, or just can be quite negative if I'm around a lot of people that just have a negative viewpoint. It's so important to notice how other things are going on for you when you're in spaces. And actually, if it doesn't vibe for you and it doesn't nurture you and it doesn't feel good and it doesn't support you, I would question if you need to be in that space around that person doing that thing. And I can be quite extreme in some of the stuff that I talk about. Like for me, I wouldn't do a job that doesn't make me happy. I wouldn't go to a place that doesn't make me happy, or at least keeps me in a neutral kind of this is okay space. If it's bringing me down, I'm not about that life anymore. I can't do it. And I'm much more in touch with how that is. We know there's stories and things that go on that we tell ourselves that sometimes aren't entirely true. But if it's real, if it's occurring, that's having that reflection and kind of really paying attention to, like, is this good for you? Yeah, other people, it might be good for them, but is it good for you? Because really, at the end of the day, you're the one that you've got to look after.
The real fine walk that we need to do, isn't it? Because the act of service that we provide every day to support and help our clients is incredibly, it's beautiful and it's rewarding, and there's so much evidence to say that, doing these acts of kindness and serving people in the way that we do on a daily basis is really good for your well-being, and it's really good for your mental health, and it's really good at keeping you happy. And I know when I've had a really positive session with somebody, I'm buzzing. I love it when I see like rapid transformation in people's lives. It's incredibly wonderful. It's an incredible
it's a beautiful thing to be a part of.
It really is, but we still have to do that. Okay, so have got this amazing buzzy vibe going on. I feel amazing. I feel like I'm contributing. I'm following my purpose. It's this amazing abundance of that you get from working. But at the same time, we have to be really self-reflective. And I love what you said, just notice how you're breathing, notice what you're eating, notice where you're spending your time, notice where you're putting your energy, notice what is having an impact on you, perhaps in a negative way, notice what's having an impact on you in a positive way, and make choices, self-care choices to do that. Check in every day. 3 or 4 times a day, check in. Use a little anchor. I've got an anchor. This is my anchor. It's on the back of my phone. I've got these little green spots everywhere. Whenever I see that green spot, I just remember to stop, to breathe, to check in. How am I doing? Am I all right? Yes. Okay, let's keep going.
I've got a big whiteboard in my eye line, so when I'm working, on there it says breathe, and it's got swirly blues all around it. So when I'm transitioning, because I spend a lot of time in this space, so when I'm transitioning from one thing to the other, I notice it and I breathe.
Yeah.
And it's automatic now. Just said I did a live this morning in my group, and
That's it.
I was feeling a little bit like, oh, about life. And so I sat and I breathed for a minute, and I invited my group to breathe with me.
I had a little breath with you this morning. It was lovely. Yeah.
It's so important. And it's one of those things we kind of forget about because we do it automatically. We don't really think about breathing. And we can get just kind of caught up in just breathing up here, and I'm not really taking the breath into my body. And you'll see when I get passionate about something, and I'm asthmatic as well, and I really start going, and it's like, hold on a minute, let's calm the body down. Let's just take a moment and feel into what's going on here and relax everything and just breathe. Pull that breath in, pull it right down to the stomach, let it sit, let it rest, let it out. It really does. It's such a quick and easy transition.
Yeah.
But when we're stressed,
Pause,
we can forget.
breathe, and then proceed.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And it's I mean, I know years ago that like I would get a little frustrated with if just breathe, like, oh, I am breathing. And then I'd get picked up for sighing. Yeah, I'd get picked up for sighing because I just started to, if I was feeling stressed, I would just like really, really kind of breathe it out. But now I don't care. Like, I'm breathing. It's good for me. I need to do it. I'm taking a moment. Hey, and I just invite everyone to breathe along. Just breathe with me. Feel how great it is.
I love it. Look, it's really the other area that you were telling me about that you're getting really into at the moment and using a lot in your practice as well as with yourself is EFT, or emotional freedom technique. This is the tapping. We do actually teach the tapping, just a basic routine of tapping on our diploma in practitioner diploma in clinical hypnotherapy. But tell us why you love EFT. What is it that's really got you going at the moment with that?
It's another thing that's so easy to use wherever you are. People don't necessarily notice that you're doing. Personally, I find it just brings me into calm so quickly, and has helped me change some of my kind of viewpoints about things. And my clients love it, and they love that they can do it in a way they can adapt it, because let me catch my thoughts. Everything I do that I offer to my clients is an invitation. So they take the tool that we've worked out together and then they personalize it for what works for them. So I love with the tapping, it's so easy. Like you tap on the karate chop and that pretty much grounds you in everything. And you use your phrasing that works for you, because with the clients we work it out together. We work what fits for them for the now. And then we realize that this is what's for now, and we can change it and we can move it. So it really opens up that idea of change, that we can change. And it's just, I feel like it's so instant when you tap in.
Yeah, I love it as well. I was just
reading, just like immediately you're like, oh, I'm starting to feel different. And it opens up that possibility. And that, for me, that opening of that possibility, that's the space where everything happens and we can get excited about life doesn't have to be the same as it was. There's all of this possibility out there.
the excitement of possibility. I love it. For me, EFT is my go-to when I'm concerned about using trance. Say somebody is in a really dark space and I don't really want to enhance that by taking them into a trance state. It's a great state changer. It's so quick, and there's been some really amazing research just recently about emotional freedom technique and how it's really good for people who are struggling with anxiety, people who are stressed, but also how there's evidence to show that it's really helping people with PTSD as well. So it's an amazing tool that we've got that we can offer so many people, and it's really exciting. Anyway, I just wanted to go, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for talking about self-care. It's a really important topic and good to just check in, notice how we're feeling, and remind ourselves how important it is to fill our cup first. I love it.
Thank you.
Coming on.
Thank you for having me.